Richard, a very good morning to you. I
can't use the word good, Mike.
Yes.
It's a morning. It is bright and blue out there.
It is. The weather's nice.
And for those lucky 50 migrants that came across the channel courtesy of Border Force, because they refused, despite the fact they are actually criminals breaking the law, they refused to go back to France. They're waking up to sunshine and
a
very nice breakfast at our expense. This is an absolute outrage,
it really
and I am
is.
steaming mad about it.
Yeah, well, let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to the exchange between the captains of two ships in the channel yesterday.
We asked to the dinghy if they need assistance. They say to me no. They want UK assistance.
Waiting for UK assistance. We are in present now happy to effect our rescue.
We are in a position to come and rescue them. Basically, the French they say no, we do not want you. We want the British to rescue us. I mean, what's going on?
But who took the decision that this is a good idea to actually go and pick these people up when the French were there to pick them up, which we're paying the French Border Force to do? Let's not forget that Rishi Sunak has agreed to pay about £500 million of our taxpayers' cash in order to stop this nonsense, so that those Border Force in France would pick them up and take them back to France. That's the whole deal,
That's
folks.
the whole deal. Also,
that
they
is
were in...
the gig.
As far as my understanding is, they were in French waters, because there are no international waters in the Channel. You're either in French waters or in British waters. We don't rescue people from French waters. The French people do.
Correct. But actually, I don't care if they're in English waters. We are paying these people to stop this nonsense. Everybody wants it stopped. The only way you stop it is if all those migrants know they're going back to France. What this has done is set the most appalling precedent where more and more of these illegal criminals crossing the English Channel will say, no, I want to go to England. Please don't rescue me and take me back to France. That's what it's done. So it's actually going to increase the numbers, and it's going to change the tactics of the whole arrangement.
This will be the next advert that gets put onto TikTok, won't it? Yeah, make sure you get onto a boat, because as soon as you're on the boat, if the French come anywhere near you, just say, no, we don't want you, we want the British.
It's about a complete failure of leadership by our public services, and they should the Royal Navy should clearly have been told that everybody has to go back to France, and that you do not pick people up who've been escorted by the French Navy. You reject these sort of requests. Whoever made that decision should at the very least be disciplined. Frankly, should probably be fired.
Should we not be calling,
setting an example,
as they like to do in Parliament? Should we not be calling for an inquiry here? Who has ordered this? Why have they ordered it, and why have they complied with the French
I don't want to waste time and money and resources in an inquiry. I just want sensible, common-sense leadership decisions made by people who are paid to do that.
Yes.
And if they can't do that, if they don't want to take those decisions, then please go and get another job somewhere else.
Let's not forget, we did have the Navy patrolling in the Channel last year, and after a few months of not doing very much of anything, they gave up. I don't know who was in charge of that operation.
Well, look, this is Border Force, so it's obviously it's a different section within our
well, this is the Home Office, isn't it?
So that's
basically
that's right. It's the Home Office. But what it's about is the quality of decision making. Whoever is taking it, and it's just not good enough, and it's costing us hundreds of millions of pounds. So we're sending hundreds of millions to the French. Now these people have arrived here. That's going to cost us millions of pounds. And so it goes on, and it won't stop.
No, it won't. Let's look at those numbers from yesterday as well, because I know you were very much all across that yesterday during your various different broadcasts and tweets and all the rest of it. Looking at the numbers, it's very clear that there's people coming here supposedly to study who are not studying, people coming here supposedly to work who are not working, and there's all sorts of other people coming seeking asylum, other people who are relatives of those coming to supposedly study or work. You know, the whole thing is a complete and utter mess. It's a shambles.
But this is... let's remember, this is a shambles that has been deliberately created by this Conservative government, who changed the policies to create an open borders policy, who made it easier for everybody to come, easier for dependents of students to come. No dependents of students need to come.
No.
If international students are going to come here, they should come here to study, right? And then there's a decision as to where they want to work. Many will go home to work.
Same goes for people coming here to work. I went to New York to work when I was 23 years old. I didn't say, I'm bringing my parents, I'm bringing my sister, I'm bringing various other members of my family. You go on your own. You go to a foreign country to work.
This government, Mike, has deliberately made it easier. And so what has happened, surprise, surprise, the numbers have soared. And here's the thing that very few people have yet picked up. So the numbers, the lawful numbers yesterday were from the Office of National Statistics.
Yes.
The Home Office also produced some numbers of the visas granted in the first quarter of 2023. The number of work visas is 70% higher than a year ago. So we can absolutely expect that these gross numbers will continue throughout the whole of 2023. Right. Nothing will change. It may even get higher.
Well, let me just give you the work visa number, because I've got it in front of me here. Jamie Jenkins ran the line over all these yesterday for us. 235,000 in 2022 came to work, right? So if that means you're going to get another 140,000, that means you'll be looking at close to 400,000 people
in the first quarter of this year. 149,936 work visas have been granted. So that is 70% higher than the same quarter a year ago. This is going completely through the roof, deliberately by this government that they've misled us, they've deceived us, they've lied to the British people, because they promised in 4 separate general elections, in 1 referendum, that they would bring the numbers down. They recognised that that's what the people of this country wanted. They got votes on the back of it, and instead they've done exactly the opposite. Nobody should ever trust the Conservative Party ever again with regard to numbers on immigration. You know it's bad when actually people trust the Labour Party. Even more on immigration. But you can't trust them either. Of course you can't. They want open borders. They both want open borders.
And last night on Question Time, right, there was a very good question asked by the first person to put a question to the panel. And the question was, how many is enough? At what point, at what number per year do you say we should be allowing into this country? And not one of the politicians from either Labour, Conservative or the Lib Dems would give a number. Not one of them.
Weak, feeble, gutless.
Right.
I'm very clear what the number is. The number is
zero.
The number is net zero.
Net zero. I heard you say this yesterday.
And that is our policy.
Right.
So that, because between 400,000 and 500,000 people emigrate every year. Albeit it's a slightly sort of general number, but that's the rough number, and it's fairly static.
After what I was told yesterday, there's going to be a lot more people emigrating because they're sick to death of it.
People are sick to death of it. So what I say is, look, yes, where we've got skill shortages, let's welcome the same number into the UK, but they've got to be genuine skill shortages by people who are going to add value to the community, add value to the economy, rather than lots and lots of low-skilled, low-wage people who essentially they're not going to be a value add to the economy and to our country. They're going to be a cost, an economic cost. And we've been told this lie for 15 to 20 years by politicians that immigration is a net economic positive.
It isn't.
But we know it's not now because the chair of the Office for Budget Responsibility admitted as much on another radio programme a couple of months ago when he said, per head, there's no benefit. And that was a defining moment. We have to understand that. It's actually, for many, many people, it's an economic cost. Why do you think we've got a housing crisis, an affordability crisis? Why can't we see a GP? Why are operation waiting lists so high? But because the population is going through the roof.
But all the lefties say, but they don't have any impact on the sort of social services of this country or on the infrastructure of this country. How can you possibly say that 1.2 million people coming here from other countries is not putting a strain on all sorts of things?
And in a year when we built just over 200,000 homes, and the average number of people per home is just over 2.
Are these people, like superhuman? They don't ever need a doctor. They don't ever need a dentist. They don't have children to go to school. Apparently, they don't need a house to live in. Absolute BS, quite frankly.
It's the most basic law of economics that essentially, if the demand goes up, then guess what? The price goes up. And we are paying the price for it.
You might as well say, if we invite 100 people to stand in this room while you and I do a show, it won't make any difference. It'll be absolutely fine. There'll be no change in the quality of the amazing broadcasting that we're currently doing for you. But of course it would be difficult, right? But here's the other thing. If, in fact, immigration is the answer to solving all problems of unemployment, why have we got 1 million job vacancies?
But the truth is that it's not. None of the politicians in Westminster want to deal with the fact that we've got 5.2 million people on out-of-work benefits, 1 in 8 of the working population. These are British people for whom many of them want to work but actually on a net basis at the end of each week, it doesn't pay to work, because if you're in work, you're taxed so heavily, even on modest and low incomes, that it doesn't pay to work. You've got to make work pay. It's the most simple, basic, fundamental problem with this country today. So we're bringing in lots of low-skilled, cheap labour from overseas, and yet we're paying 5 million people to stay at home. It's madness.
Well, I had Matt Vickers on
economies
yesterday.
of madness.
I had Matt Vickers on yesterday, who's Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party.
He's partly responsible.
And he said, well, I was better than that. He said, well, you know, the problem here is that, you know, there's all these people who are not economically active. I said, well, that's your fault. You've made that possible. The Tory government over the last 13 years has made it possible to make more money by not working than to actually go to work.
I'm sick to death of these Tory MPs blathering and waffling and wibbling. Day in, day out, saying, oh, yes, we're going to get it down. I mean, the Prime Minister says the numbers are too high. Robert Jenrick says the numbers are too high. They're too high because you have deliberately created a policy that allowed the numbers to soar. You can't get away from this.
No.
You have betrayed the British people, and there will be a day of reckoning on the Conservative Party.
Have a look at these numbers here. The number of visas issued to foreign workers and their families has nearly doubled in just a year, from 276,500 to 488,000 in the year to March, according to Home Office data. It is the highest number for at least 2 decades and more than double the pre-Brexit average of between 150 and 180,000. And it apparently comprises 300,000 workers. Get this, 188,000 dependents. So what are they doing?
Well, you know what they're doing. They're going to be they're going to be an economic cost on the rest of us taxpayers. It's insane.
It really is. Incredible.
It's hard to know where to go from it.
It really is. I mean, you can tell we're pretty worked up about this, and so should you be as well, because this is the place to be if you want to hear common sense, if you want to hear the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Don't put on This Morning where you see the Prime Minister waffling on about how the numbers are too big and we're going to bring them down. Really? Are you? Well, why do you keep inviting more people in? And why do you keep rescuing people in the channel who don't belong here? Absolutely disgraceful behaviour. This government is not fit for purpose.